Yo, what is going on, guys? So on today's episode, we have a bit of a different one for you here today. We have a video titled, Why Beautiful Women Are Absolutely Nuts, a co-created problem. And this is by a dude named Psych Hacks. Now, I don't know if this guy is a psychologist or what his unique perspective is going to be, so we will take a listen. But I can already tell you why a lot of women who are attractive are completely nuts is because they receive so much undue attention and validation on social media. Even women who are not altogether attractive, guys, these days are completely nuts. They're very entitled, and that's because you have a lot of simps out here telling them that they're fantastic, even though they might actually be horrible people. So let's jump into the video. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. If you're interested in supporting the channel, make sure you join us on Locals. The link will be in the pinned comment. And let's jump in.
I'm Dr. Orion Taraban, and this is Psych Hacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is why beautiful women are nuts. So this is a compliment to the episode that I recently released entitled Why Successful Men Are Jerks. From both genders' perspectives, it can often appear that the most attractive potential partners are, unfortunately, fundamentally flawed in other ways.
Yeah, so the reason for this, at least from my perspective, guys, you let me know your comments down below. But my understanding of this is that whenever you give somebody a bunch of different options, okay, what's going to happen is they treat people like options. Okay, for example, this is why so many modern women these days, they get really, really angry at men. They say things like, we're emotionally mature and we're just not looking for relationships and we're children and things like this, is because all of the men that they're chasing have options. And so what happens when somebody has options? They treat people like they are options. You see what I'm saying? And of course, this is something that men are very used to from a very young age because they understand that nobody gives a damn. And certainly not women, by the way. Why? Because they have options. Women have a stupid amount of options. You know, you can go out there as some, 17-year-old guy, maybe you haven't got a car or something like this, and you're going to lose to the 21-year-old man who's been hitting the gym and who has a car and a better face. Like dudes get slapped with reality immediately. Women don't. Let's continue.
However, what's interesting is that how they appear flawed seems to be predictably gendered. Like, you don't often hear men complaining that beautiful women are assholes, do you? And today, I'm here to explain why that might be the case. I've already talked about the men. Now it's time for women to get theirs. The reason why beautiful women are nuts is actually pretty simple. Here it is. Beautiful women are nuts because no one ever tells them the truth. That's it. There are some women out there who have never been told the truth in their entire fucking lives. Like, can you imagine? You've been alive 20, 30 years and you've never been told the truth? Can you?
Yeah, so the reason why as well they don't get told the truth is number one, because dudes just want to hook up with them. You've got a bunch of simps and people who don't care. That's number one. But number two, and here's the real kicker, okay? If you tell women the truth anyway, you just get insulted. So dudes just stop telling the truth, Like, guys, I could release a video, for example, that would be immensely helpful to a woman insofar as how do you get a good man, okay? And in that video, I might be rightfully critical of women in some capacity. I might say, hey, listen, you don't particularly know how to do X, so maybe you should go and learn cooking, for example, right? I might say, hey, your cooking is not where it needs to be. Learning how to cook would probably help you get a traditional man, right? Being a traditional woman would probably help you get a traditional man. And then under that video, I guarantee you there'd be some comments there, or at least, if I released it somewhere like TikTok, I'd be banned, right? I'd just be insulted because, you feed women the truth these days and they don't like it. They absolutely don't like it. Now, mind you, the women who can cook probably wouldn't be as offended. But in general, you can't tell them the truth. You can't tell them what men want and how they're behaving and whether or not it's wrong or not. You can't be critical in any way because they'll just start insulting you, by the way. Let's continue.
Can you imagine how distorted a model of reality you would have? Like, you kind of have to feel sympathy for these women.
I don't really feel sympathy for them. No, I don't. Oftentimes, again, women are the ones who are rejecting reality. So no, I'm not going to feel sorry for them when they refuse to live in it.
Now, because they can be so out of touch with the way things actually work, they can often be the engineers of their own dissatisfaction. This is because while these women might not ever be at a loss for potential partners, eventually these guys are going to get so sick of their nuttiness that they're going to walk. Pretty is not sufficient compensation for crazy. Most guys have to learn that the hard way.
I mean, especially for anything long term, okay? I had a look at the comments below this particular video, and one of the top comments, I really agree with, guys. It does not matter. This is the comment, roughly speaking. It's paraphrased, right? The comment goes like this: no matter how attractive a woman is, there is some dude out there who is done with her nonsense. There's some dude who you couldn't pay him, you know, a few $100s to even spend time with her because he doesn't want to. You see? Like, again, on a long-term basis, this is why so many women can't get long-term relationships, by the way. It's like, they're like, oh yeah, I can get attention from guys. They'll like my photos and I can go to their bedroom, but for some reason they won't have long-term relationships with me. And the truth of the matter is that the women aren't offering anything else, guys. That's why. Those same women who complain that men won't commit to them, they're not offering anything to dudes aside from the way they look. And so what happens is when women don't look a certain way anymore, of course the men are done with them, and then they cry and complain. And I mean, I'm not complaining, guys, because it makes for great content on the channel. I'll never run out of content. It's very funny. But that's certainly the way it goes.
And these women end up snatching defeat from the jaws of success when they operate under bad models. So how does that happen? A lot of these women are precociously attractive. They hit puberty and they realize that everything changes. Men of all ages start looking at them differently, treating them differently. They start to stare, not just the boys in their class, but the boys' dads as well. And that can be terrifying and scary and exciting and confusing for young women to navigate. They've just come into a great deal of power that they did nothing to earn and don't yet know what to do with. And why would they? They're chronologically just teenagers, and they may be even younger than that emotionally. This isn't exactly a recipe for success. And from that moment forward, these women will never hear the truth from a man again.
And you know what this is made worse by? It's actually made a lot worse by the fact that so many families don't have fathers these days, right? The amount of single mothers is absolutely increasing, especially from many years ago. You know, if a woman back in the day was a single mother, it was typically because she was a widow. These days, guys, I mean, the rate of single motherdom, as it were, is absolutely astronomical. So what's happening is these young women, right? Maybe, you know, they're 18, 19, 20. These girls have all, like this man says, they have all of this power, and then nobody taught them how to correctly use it, right? There was no father to say, hey, you know, the best course of action is to find a good man, and here is what a good man looks like. I mean, the best way would obviously be being a good man. But there's none of this. Like, the women don't actually have the tools, and of course they don't figure it out for themselves. They just blame everybody else. Because the father figure is not in the picture, it makes this a lot more of an awful situation, right? Back in the day, guys, you know, you'd grow up with a father figure in the house, he'd be a good man, things like this. And then it was just a lot easier to keep the family unit together and future generations together because it just continued to make sense. But these days, it's not really the case.
This is because all these men want to fuck her. And the truth does not get you laid. If being honest got men laid, the world would become such a nicer place to live, like overnight.
Wait. Guys, here I was thinking that women wanted all the nice men. Isn't this what women have just been saying lately? You know, we're looking for a good man, a man with morals and who's super nice and things like this. I thought this is what women said that they wanted. So riddle me that, guys. How is it that the men who are not honest and the men who are highly physically attractive, by extension, why is it that these guys are the ones who are getting all the action from women and it's not the nice men? Something isn't lining up here.
Would become so much better. However, women only reward the truth when it happens to coincide with what they want to hear. And in this case, they're still rewarding it because it's what they want to hear. It just happens to also be the truth, which is something of a fortunate accident. They're like elementary school teachers who ask an apparently open-ended question to the entire class, but are actually fishing for a very specific answer the entire time. This is the only answer that will receive credit. Honesty does not get you laid. Unless the honesty is exactly aligned with the responses women have already decided get the credit. And the likelihood of this happening, especially over an appreciable timeline, is vanishingly small. Only men who have an inordinate commitment to integrity, those who are able to put an abstract principle ahead of their own self-interest, or, I don't know, men on the autistic spectrum, are going to prefer honesty with all its social consequences to the prospect of a sexual relationship with a beautiful woman. This is why men lie. When you punish the truth, you are asking to be lied to. Women, of course, don't like hearing this. However, I'm going to offer an analogy to help them understand why this likely isn't changing anytime soon. Imagine you work for a company. It's a desirable position and it pays very well. You like your job. However, the only issue is that you have to deal with a really difficult manager. He might be overcompensating for something. Maybe he has a fragile ego. Maybe he's a narcissist. Who knows? All you know.
I love how we throw around these buzzwords so liberally these days. You know, oh, this person's a narcissist. They've got a fragile ego and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I really despise these words, man, because this is what women pull out when they just want an excuse to do something. Oh, you know, he won't let me go to the club, then he's controlling, he's insecure, he's got a fragile ego. Things like this, right? Oh, my husband of 10 years, I found out that he was a narcissist. Like, how many times have we heard this nonsense?
Is that he really doesn't like being challenged. Like, it doesn't matter if he's wrong. It doesn't matter if there's an objectively more efficient or more effective or better way of doing things. Disagreement is construed as an attack, and he responds to attacks with aggression. You've seen it happen more than once. Some well-meaning employee thinks she's making a helpful suggestion to improve outcomes, and boom, she's looking for a new job by the end of the day. Given that you're dealing with a person like this, what are you going to do the next time he brings you an idea that you think isn't going to work? Are you really going to put your livelihood on the line and try to correct him? You know he's only going to fire you because he'll perceive this as an attack, and he's not going to change his mind anyway. Speaking your mind is not going to work.
Have you guys noticed that some of my videos have gone missing over here on YouTube? That is because I am slowly moving them over to locals where I can actually host them without the risk of getting in trouble. If you are not aware, many creators are starting to move over to places like locals, Rumble, etc. because YouTube is not really a free speech platform. So if you are interested in supporting the channel and getting access to videos that are no longer available here, make sure that you come and join us over on locals. The link will be in the video description down below. Supporters get access to their own exclusive videos that are no longer available to the public. So make sure you go to the link in the description and join us over there now. But anyway, guys, back to today's episode.
And it's only going to harm your goals.
Yeah, see, this is also, by the way, this is why men leave Western countries, is because they go out there and they find women who are not as big of a pain in the backside, right? Is, you know, women tend to drop this behavior when they really, really value and they're attracted to you. You know, again, I'll take it back to the men who are highly attractive, okay? Dudes who are highly attractive can say the most outlandish crap ever, and it's still going to be perceived as something positive. You understand what I'm saying? Like, if you guys aren't familiar with it, there's actually plenty of videos over here on YouTube of people going out here and doing this. But what dudes have done on these YouTube videos is they've gone out there and they've made very attractive dating profiles. Okay, they've gone out there, made some like Giga Chad model dude from, you know, some man who's highly attractive, and then they'll write in the bio about how he's a felon, how about he did these awful actions and blah blah blah. And you know what? The women still message him, guys. You know, the women get outright insulted sometimes, and the women are still there. They still want to come around to his house. They still want to give out their phone number and their direct contact information. They still want to meet up and things like this, okay? So I just want to highlight that for a second, okay? The average dudes, they have to jump through all these hoops. They have to say the right things, okay? They have to meet all of these little demands and nonsense, which on a long enough time scale, you're never going to be able to meet them all. And you have to do all of this crap. And again, mind you, this is for some woman who doesn't even require McDonald's from the man that she finds attractive. So I really want to stress that for a moment. This is why men go to other countries and they find women who value them a lot more, is because what happens, and where the supply of these women is a lot higher, because what happens is when the woman screws up, she knows that she's the one that's going to be finding a new job. And so they fall in line a lot easier.
It would be pointless and masochistic to insist on the rightness of your perspective. So if you're like most people, what are you going to say? You know, boss, that's a fantastic idea. Absolutely. You know, I could see how that could work. You know, to be honest, it's probably too advanced for our design department, so it might have to be finessed a bit, but it's a genius idea. Must be why you're in charge, sir. And then you're going to walk away and try to do the best with the ridiculous bullshit you've just been given. Do you understand? Most people are not going to unnecessarily expose themselves to risk and loss where there is no hope of a potential upside. And that's exactly the situation most guys find themselves in when they tell the truth to women. Like the manager in my analogy, most women are not going to change their minds when they hear the truth. They've already decided what they want and consequently what they want to hear. And they may already have a general model of reality that's been reinforced by years or decades of being lied to. This is not something that typically can be disabused with words, only with the accumulated consequences of many poor decisions. Like, can you imagine the manager in my hypothetical scenario hearing a dissenting viewpoint, even one that was presented respectfully, and saying, "Thank you. Thank you for being honest with me. I realize now that you're the only person who tells me the truth."
Yeah, that doesn't happen with women these days, man. They don't give a damn. They're not interested in the truth or how things actually work. And why would they be, by the way? Because women can go out there, guys, and they can absolutely choose to ignore reality until they start hitting 30 and 35 and things like this. Then all of a sudden things start to become a little bit more clear. They absolutely hate it, and they make hilarious TikTok videos outlining their situation, right? But before then, what they do is they completely ignore reality. Completely and absolutely. It's only when their looks start to fade and they start to get treated a little bit like men are actually treated, and then we start to wind up with all of these issues and these videos all over the internet.
And that all of these toadies and sycophants have just been telling me what I wanted to hear all these years. For your courage and integrity, I immediately promote you to the position of my most trusted advisor.
I find it so damn funny when women are out here and they say that they're looking for things like integrity, because that tells you everything you need to know. Guys, if you ever hear a woman say, "Yeah, I'm looking for a man who has integrity," usually these women are slightly older women, if not older women. And what that essentially means is that they have screwed around with bad boys for many years. They've completely wasted their time. And now they're looking for dudes who have a provider kind of mentality about them, right? They're going to go out there and pay the bills and say, "Yes, queen, no queen." And her life is going to be chill now, right? She's going to have that retirement plan in her back pocket. Absolutely hilarious stuff here. Integrity. You see, these are values as well, which, like, again, women say that they want this crap, but really what it actually is it's opportunistic, okay? They don't care so much about the quality itself. It's not about a man having integrity or about having morals. I mean, these women couldn't give a damn about morals and integrity, okay? Half of them can't even define what those things really are. But what they know is that these words mean that they'll get provided for, and they will get things. They will get money. They'll be able to live without having to work a job for the rest of their lives. Because despite what these strong and independent women say, guys, when they get to a certain age, they don't want to be strong and independent anymore. They don't want to work careers. So they need to find a man with integrity, i.e. a man with a wallet who's going to take care of her, and go from there.
Of course, this comes with a substantial raise and a host of other benefits, so I hope that you'll accept. Like, can you imagine? When women are told the truth, they are much more likely to get upset, to feel offended, and to terminate the relationship than they are to reward men with sex and privileges. Men figure this out pretty quickly. Like the employee in my scenario, they figure, well, telling the truth isn't going to change this woman's mind, and it certainly hasn't helped me get laid. So I'm going to say whatever the fuck I have to say to make this work. And then I'm going to walk away and try to do my best with the ridiculous bullshit I've been given. To get what they want, men learn to cater to women's models of reality. And this is especially problematic when it comes to very attractive women, because these models are much more likely to be founded on lies that other men who have also been trying to sleep with them have told them over the years.
I mean, I'm totally in agreement with this, by the way. I think that men are out here lying to these women. They're simping over these women. This is also made a lot worse by things like social media. I mean, the girls who are highly attractive, they're going to get a lot of likes on Instagram, okay? They're going to get a lot of dudes replying to their stories, things like this. So it's kind of a lot worse than this man actually outlines it to be. It's not like this requires an in-person interaction in order to be happening, right? You don't have to have one guy walk up to the woman, tell her she's fantastic and she does everything right, and then that happened like 5 times over the course of, like, you know, the morning of that particular day. That's not how it works. Women can post a picture and then they'll get hundreds of little bits of affirmation. Does that make sense? So it's not like, oh yes, one interaction and then her entitlement goes up. No. These women, they post a picture on Instagram, they get like 400 likes on it, or like 1,000 likes, or whatever it is. And then that's 400 bits of validation that they've just received. It's not just one conversation where they were affirmed. It's essentially like 400 mini conversations, which is why it's so much worse. And of course, the more attractive the woman is, the more this is going to be the case. And again, also, this is why dudes don't really want to date these women. This is another reason why they don't want to date women with high follower counts and things like this, is because dudes understand that the people who are giving these women affirmation and everything are other dudes. You know, so not only do you have to deal with the entitlement, but you have to deal with the fact that she's going out there and seeking validation from thousands upon thousands of other dudes in a relationship. Also, the other thing I wanted to say here as well is it's not just men who are lying to women, by the way. I mean, if you've ever gone to some of these women's social media posts, there's so many women who are underneath those posts actually lying to the women. This is why you even have the very unattractive women, and their friend like Sarah is under there, and a bunch of other ones. You know, you got Sarah, Chloe, whoever else, and they're leaving comments like, oh, you're so beautiful and things like this. Meanwhile, the thing looks like it's a monster straight out of Lord of the Rings, respectfully. And so the women who are not as attractive are also incredibly entitled. It's just a I can't even say the word on YouTube. It's a circle of nonsense, essentially.
For better or worse, less attractive women don't seem to have this issue. This is not because they don't become upset or offended at the truth. They often do, but because men will actually occasionally tell them the truth.
I actually think that even unattractive women these days are still incredibly entitled. You guys let me know if I'm wrong in the comments. I imagine it also depends on where you live as well. But the thing about this is, I'm going to disagree with this guy here. The women who are unattractive can still go online and get affirmation for absolutely anything. They can post the most ridiculous opinion on social media, which, by the way, a lot of them have ridiculous opinions. They'll post this stuff and they'll get dudes liking some post about how womanism is great and things like this. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter if the woman's unattractive, because she's still going to receive a stupid amount of validation on the internet. So if you're an attractive woman, you're just going to get more of that, but it doesn't mean that the unattractive women don't also turn out incredibly entitled. Guys, if you'll notice as well, some of the most entitled women are actually the ones who are highly unattractive, who have these brightly colored hairstyles and all of these sorts of things, right? All of the staunch womanists, actually, who are very, very entitled and expect men to do certain things, oftentimes they're very unattractive and they're incredibly entitled as well. So I'm going to disagree slightly with this guy here, but I do understand what he's trying to say.
Because they don't really care if they don't get what they want from them. I don't make the news, I just report it. So that's why beautiful women are nuts. No one tells them the truth. The only possible exception occurs when these beautiful women had very strong men in their households growing up. They had a strong father or strong brothers. This is because these men might be the only men in the world who aren't trying to fuck them. And because of that, they may potentially be able to apply appropriate consequences to the tantrums and emotional fallout that can occur when you tell women the truth. These men are these women's best chance of remaining in touch with reality. Unfortunately, even though these fathers and brothers probably love and care for these women more than any other man does, some of them still won't respond well to this accountability, and they fall further and further down the rabbit hole into Wonderland.
I mean, let's not get it twisted either. I mentioned earlier on in the video that a lot of these families simply don't exist anymore. Families are not encouraged to have a strong father figure or male figures in the household anymore, guys. Men have been essentially shoved out of the family unit and replaced by the government. And what I mean by replaced by the government is not that the government is looking after, I mean, the government is actually looking after the kids. So I do mean that. You know, your kids get sent off to the government. That'll go well. You know, dudes are kicked out of the family. And then the money that the woman receives is also from the government. So essentially, the children are no longer being taught by the father whatsoever. And the finances and the provisioning and the protection is no longer coming from the father either. So you're going to grow up with you're going to have a society with a lot of broken people coming up in it. Okay, so, you know, back in the day, I'm sure this was certainly more standard. You'd grow up and you'd have a couple of, you know, you'd have at least one, right? The father who would attempt to give you the truth. But these days, you don't have any of it. And I think it's actively encouraged to not be there. I think it's very, very monetizable, okay? The government has realized that women are very profitable to lie to. You can convince women that it's a good idea, for example, to go out there and work, and you can be strong and independent. You have your careers. You can have your careers too. Now what we have is a situation where twice as many people are getting taxed because now the women are getting taxed. They're going out there working these jobs. And you know, it's just a hilarious situation all around. But I think the government has realized that they can go out here and lie to women. Bit of a tangent there, but yeah, no more strong male figures in the household typically.
So there you go. Men want to fuck beautiful women, and telling women the truth doesn't get them laid. So that's why beautiful women are nuts. What do you think? Does this fit with your own experience? Let me know in the comments below. And please send this episode to someone who you think might benefit from its message, as it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow.
I'll say this. I like this guy. This is the first time that I've watched one of his videos. Seems pretty reasonable. So he sounds like he's a doctor. I don't know what he's a doctor in specifically. A doctor of psychology, I don't know. But I'd say he's pretty much bang on the money here. The only thing I disagree with a little bit is the fact that these women, if you're attractive to these women, it doesn't really matter so much what you say anyway. It only really matters to the dudes who are average or being considered for like long-term relationships and things like these. These attractive dudes who these women go out and hook up with on dating applications and things like this, I mean, they can go out there and they can say the most outlandish crap of all time if they're attractive. But guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. Remember to leave your thoughts and your comments. What do you guys think? And I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.